Look me in the eyes and tell me the truth. Have you ever had the courage to hold an earthworm the size of a small snake? I am not talking about those sad, thin worms you see in city flower pots. I am talking about underground monsters, about biological engineers that weigh heavy in your hand, about creatures that are the unmistakable sign that your soil is not dead dirt, but a gold mine. For years, I committed a crime that you probably committed last night. I was cooking rice for dinner, rinsing the grains under the tap, and watching that white, milky, cloudy water go down the drain. 10 years of throwing liquid gold down the pipe. 10 years thinking that the secret of agriculture was in a bottle of blue fertilizer bought at the store, when in reality, the secret was in my sink. Today, we are not going to talk about boring theories. Today, we are going to talk about how rice, that humble grain you have in your pantry, can wake up the beasts sleeping under your feet. And I am going to tell you not like a scientist in a white coat, but like someone who learned the hard way after killing many plants and spending too much money on chemicals that only burned my roots. If you stay, I am going to teach you how to raise giant earthworms. I am going to teach you how to multiply your soil's fertility by 10. And best of all, I am going to teach you the rice water trick right now, not at the end of the video, because I don't have time to make you wait. But first, let me take you on a trip. Forget your garden for a moment. I want you to imagine northern Spain. Think of the humid lands of Galicia or Asturias. There, the old farmers don't need to buy sacks of nitrogen. They have a secret. Their soils are black. They smell like forest, like moisture, like life. If you dig a little with your hands in those lands, you find the Lumbricus terrestris. It is the queen of European earthworms, an animal that digs deep vertical tunnels as if they were oil wells, oxygenating the earth better than any modern tractor. Why am I telling you this? Because those worms are not there by chance. They are there because they have food. And here is where our rice comes in. The big mistake we have been sold is that plants need to eat chemicals. False. Plants need an ecosystem, and earthworms are the architects of that system. They eat organic matter and transform it into humus. Worm humus is black gold. It has nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and most importantly, microbial life. It is estimated that earthworms can increase the production of your crops by 25% simply by existing, simply by eating and defecating in your garden. But here is the problem. You cannot force earthworms to come. You cannot scream at them to appear. You have to invite them. You have to set the table. And it turns out that their favorite dish is not manure, nor dry leaves. Their favorite dish is starch. Rice is basically pure starch, and for the microscopic world, starch is pure energy. It is sugar. When you throw rice water or rice grains on the ground, you are not feeding the worms directly. You are doing something smarter. You are turning on a giant neon sign that says, "All you can eat buffet, open 24 hours." What happens is fascinating and a little macabre. The starch causes an explosion of bacteria and fungi. They multiply by millions in a matter of hours. They create a rich, dense, nutritious microbial soup. And that, my friend, is what earthworms love. They come from meters around, attracted by the smell of that bacterial party. They eat the microbes, they eat the decaying matter, and as a result, they grow. They grow a lot. I have seen worms that went from 5 centimeters to 12 centimeters in weeks. They become fat, pink, and vital. They reproduce like crazy. And the more worms you have, the more tunnels they create. Your soil stops being a compact brick and turns into a soft sponge that holds water. Now let's talk about how to do it without ruining everything. Because yes, you can ruin it. Let's start with the easiest, what you can do today. The rinse water. That white water you throw away before cooking? Don't throw it. Never again. That is dissolved starch, rice dust, and trace minerals. It is a serum of life. Take it directly to your pots or to the base of your tomatoes. Water them. It is gentle, it doesn't burn the plants, and it penetrates the soil fast. It is the safest way to start if you are afraid of making a mistake. But if you want brutal results, if you want to see those giant worms I told you about, you have to use the grain. In here, there are two paths. The path of the impatient is cooked rice. But listen to me well, because this is where people mess up. White rice boiled in water, nothing else. Not a pinch of salt, not a drop of oil, no garlic. If you put salt, you kill the worms. Salt is kryptonite for them. It dehydrates and burns them. If you put oil or fat, you create a waterproof layer that rots the soil and stinks. I remember once, years ago, I tried to be smart. I had a pot of leftover curry rice, and I thought it would be good fertilizer. I buried it in the garden. 3 days later, my yard wasn't full of worms, it was full of rats. The smell of rotting food attracted every rodent in the neighborhood. It was a disaster. I had to dig it all up while holding back nausea. Don't make my mistake. Only white rice, bland and boring. Take that cooked rice, wait for it to cool, and bury it lightly. Don't leave it on the surface or it will dry out and the birds will come. Cover it with 5 centimeters of soil or compost. Do it in a corner of your garden. In 48 hours, if you lift that soil, you will see magic. You will see a congregation of life squirming down there. Now, if you are a methodical person, if you like to plan for the long term like the old farmers of Galicia, use raw rice. But not whole. Crush it a little. Break the grain. Make small holes in the ground. Put a teaspoon in and cover. This is slow release. The grain will take time to hydrate, take time to decompose, and will keep the worms fed for weeks. It is perfect for autumn, to prepare the soil before the cold. There is a scientific concept I need you to understand, but I am going to explain it without weird words. It is called the carbon-nitrogen ratio. Rice is a lot of carbon, energy, and little nitrogen, protein. When microbes eat the rice, they need nitrogen to build their bodies. Where do they get it? They steal it from the soil. At first, this seems bad. You might think, hey, they are stealing the nitrogen from my plants. But it is a temporary theft. It is a loan. The microbes get fat on that nitrogen. And then the worms come and eat the microbes. And when the worms defecate, they return that nitrogen to the soil, but now in a form that your plants can drink up like a high-quality protein shake. It is a perfect cycle. It is nature's ethical banking. Let's talk about results, because at the end of the day, we want big tomatoes, right? Serious studies, the kind published in soil biology journals that nobody reads, say that soil with high worm activity infiltrates water 10 times faster. 10 times. That means if it rains hard, your soil absorbs the water instead of drowning. It means if there is a drought, your soil keeps moisture for longer. And the roots? The roots go crazy. They can grow 50% more. Imagine what that means for your harvest. Bigger roots mean more nutrients, stronger plants, more resistance to pests. All that for a handful of rice that costs pennies? It is ironic, isn't it? We spend fortunes on magic solutions, on colorful bottles, when nature already invented the perfect fertility machine millions of years ago. It just needs us to give it fuel. But I know what some of you are thinking. I am reading your minds. There are people who don't like getting dirty. There are people who live on a 5th floor in Madrid or Mexico City and don't have land. Or simply, there are people who are disgusted by worms, and I respect that. If you are one of those who want to grow red tomatoes and crunchy lettuce, but the idea of having a worm farm gives you chills, I have an exit door for you. It is called hydroponics. It is the art of growing without soil, just water and pure minerals. It is clean, it is clinical, it is fast. I have a system, a guide called My Hydroponic Garden, where I teach you how to set this up from scratch on your balcony. No soil, no worms, no getting your hands dirty. It is technical evolution. If you are interested in controlling every milligram of nutrition and having laboratory harvests in your house, the link is below. It is a modern marvel. But let's go back to the mud. Let's go back to real Earth. If you decide to follow the rice path, you have to be an observer. It is not about throwing rice and forgetting. You have to look. In spring and autumn, when the temperature is mild, between 15 and 25 degrees is the golden time. That is when you apply the buried rice. In summer, when the sun punishes, use rice water to not overheat the soil with fermentations. And in winter, leave them a deep reserve so they survive the cold. You will see changes. I guarantee it. First, you will notice that the earth changes color. It becomes darker. Then you will notice the texture. You no longer need a pickaxe to dig. The earth crumbles in your fingers like coffee grounds. And finally, you will see your plants. You will see them shine with a green that is not normal, a green of absolute health. And when you see that, when you pull a carrot out of the ground and it comes accompanied by a fat, healthy earthworm, don't be scared. Thank it. Because that little animal has worked harder than you. What I am telling you is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a whole universe down there. Mycorrhizae, those fungi that connect roots as if they were internet cables, also benefit from this trick. Bacteria like Pseudomonas or Bacillus, which protect your plants from diseases, also join the rice party. You are creating an invisible army, an army that fights for you. So I make you a proposal. Take the challenge. Take 2 pots. Do nothing to one, just water. To the other, give the rice treatment. Bury a tablespoon of crushed rice, wait a month, and then tip the pots over and look. The difference is going to leave you speechless. It is going to turn you into a believer. Regenerative gardening is not a hippie fad. It is pure intelligence. It is stopping the fight against nature and starting to use it in your favor. It is understanding that soil is not an inert support for plants. It is a living stomach that needs to be fed. If all this has blown your mind, if you realize you have been gardening blindfolded for years, then welcome to the club. Welcome to the community of those who look down to grow up. I am not going to ask you to like this out of obligation. I am going to ask you to subscribe because you need to know more. Because this rice thing is just one of hundreds of tricks that the agrochemical industry prefers you ignore. We have to talk about ferments, about rock minerals, about plant energy. There is a lot to unearth. So, click that button, join us, stop being a consumer of products and become a producer of life. Next time you wash rice, smile, because now you know you have the power of fertility in your hands. Go out there, get dirty, feed your worms, and may your harvests be as big as your curiosity. See you underground.